All right, today we're going to dive into a really fascinating new project called BlockDAG. You might have seen it around. It's been making some seriously ambitious claims and creating a ton of buzz. So, what's the deal here? What's making everyone talk about it? Let's find out. Okay, so it really all boils down to this one big question. If you've been in the crypto space for a while, you've definitely heard of the blockchain trilemma. It's this huge, persistent headache of trying to get three critical things to work perfectly at the same time. You want it fast, you want it secure, and you want it decentralized. But, getting all three has been next to impossible. And that's exactly the puzzle BlockDAG claims it's here to solve. So, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at that big challenge. Then, we'll jump into BlockDAG's hybrid solution. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how it all works, talk about the BDAG coin, and wrap things up by looking at the potential and, of course, the risks. All right, let's get right into it. Section 1, the blockchain's big challenge. This isn't just a problem. It's really the foundational problem that BlockDAG was created to fix. It's why we have hundreds, if not thousands, of different crypto projects out there. They're all chasing this elusive, perfect balance. So what exactly is this trilemma? Well, it's these three pillars, right? You've got scalability. That's just a fancy word for speed, how many transactions it can handle. Then there's security, pretty straightforward, keeping the network safe from hackers. And finally, decentralization, the core idea that no one person or group is in charge. The huge problem is that with most blockchains, you can pick two, but you can't have all three. It's like a trade-off. You want blazing fast speeds? Well, you might have to sacrifice a bit of decentralization. You want it to be a fortress of security? Okay, but it's probably going to be slow as molasses. And that brings us right to BlockDAG. This is a layer 1 protocol, meaning it's a foundational blockchain, not something built on top of another one. And its entire reason for being is to tackle that trilemma head on. And it's doing it by learning from the two absolute giants of the space, Bitcoin and Ethereum. To really get what BlockDAG is doing, you have to understand the two big models that dominate crypto right now. On one side, you've got Bitcoin's model, the UTXO model. The easiest way to think about this is like digital cash. It's fantastic for just sending and receiving money securely. Super simple, super effective. On the other side, you've got Ethereum's account-based model. Now, this is more like your bank account. It keeps track of a balance, which makes it perfect for more complex stuff. Like the smart contracts that run all of DeFi and dApps. Okay, so here's the kicker. This is the big aha moment for BlockDAG. Instead of picking a side, instead of choosing cash or a bank account, its whole innovation is to just do both at the same time. It's a hybrid system. The idea is to get the best of both worlds, the super secure parallel transaction speed of Bitcoin for simple payments and the powerful smart contract engine of Ethereum for all the complex stuff, all on one single network. So you're probably wondering, how on earth do they actually pull that off, right? Well, let's pop the hood and get into the tech. This is the secret sauce that makes this whole hybrid model work. The secret is that BlockDAG isn't really a blockchain in the traditional sense. It uses a different structure called a Directed Acyclic Graph, or just DAG. Now think of a normal blockchain like a single-lane road. Every car or block has to follow the one in front of it. It's orderly, but it gets backed up fast. A DAG, on the other hand, is like a massive multi-lane superhighway. New transactions can be confirmed in parallel all at once, which just blows the doors off traditional speeds. And this quote here really nails why this approach is so powerful. I mean, think about it. If you buy a coffee and someone on the other side of the world trades an NFT, are those two things related at all? No way. So why force them to wait in the same single file line? It's just not efficient. The DAG structure gets this, and it lets all those unrelated transactions get processed at the same time. Okay, I know what you're thinking. A multi-lane highway with cars flying everywhere? Sounds like total chaos, right? How do you keep order and prevent people from, spending the same money twice? Well, that's where this really clever protocol called GhostDAG comes into play. Think of it as the ultimate traffic controller. It looks at all the new blocks flying in, and it quickly sorts them. It finds the blue set, these are the good, honest blocks with lots of connections, and it flags the red set, the sketchy, poorly connected ones that might be trouble. Then, it just puts all the blue blocks in order, creating one clean, agreed-upon history for everyone. It's how it creates order out of that beautiful chaos. Now, this next part is a really, really big deal, especially for developers. BlockDAG is fully compatible with the EVM, the Ethereum Virtual Machine. What's that? Basically, it's the engine that runs all of Ethereum's apps and smart contracts. So being EVM compatible means that developers can just take their dApps that are already running on Ethereum and move them over to BlockDAG super easily. They can use all the tools they already love, like MetaMask, and work with standard tokens, like NFTs. This is huge because it removes a massive barrier to getting people to build on the platform.
Okay, so we've covered the tech. Let's switch gears and talk about the money. How does the BDAG coin, the project's native token, fit into all of this?
First thing to know, the supply is finite. There's a hard cap of 150 billion BDAG coins that will ever exist, period. This is important because having a fixed supply, just like with Bitcoin, helps create a predictable and potentially deflationary economic model. And if you look at how these coins are being allocated, it tells you a lot about the project's philosophy. A full 50%, half of the entire supply, is set aside for miners. That's a massive incentive to keep the network secure. About a third was for the pre-sale, but the part that really jumps out is the team's allocation. Just 1%. That's a pretty strong signal that the goal here is to build a community-driven network, not one controlled by a small insider group. So, what do you actually do with BDAG? Well, it's basically the fuel for the entire ecosystem. You need it to pay for any transaction on the network. You use it as gas to run smart contracts and dApps. And of course, it's what miners earn as a reward for all their hard work. Down the road, the plan is also to use it for staking and for governance, which means holders could get a vote on where the project goes next. Okay, so let's get real for a minute and talk about the potential versus the risks. And of course, I have to say this is all for educational purposes, definitely not financial advice, but it's absolutely crucial to look at both sides of the coin here. When you look at the strengths, the list is pretty impressive. The hybrid tech is genuinely innovative. That EVM compatibility we talked about, that's a massive magnet for developers. And the tokenomics seem well thought out. But you have to weigh that against some very real risks. This technology is new. It hasn't been battle-tested at a massive scale yet. The competition from other layer ones like Ethereum, Solana, and others is absolutely brutal. And, like every single thing in crypto, it's going to be subject to wild market swings and an ever-changing regulatory environment. And that really brings us to the big, final question, doesn't it? BlockDAG is putting forward a super compelling solution to a problem that's been nagging the crypto space for years. But is this hybrid model genuinely the future of the blockchain? Or is it a brilliant but ultimately ambitious experiment that still has a long way to go to prove itself? For now, we'll just have to wait and see.